After having studied the various properties of Fourier transforms, let us now discuss how this theory can be applied to the analysis of systems in this lecture. So, we would like to see how the Fourier transform theory can be used to find out the output of a system corresponding to various types of input. So, in the system terminology, if we represent input x of t and the output y of t, okay, respectively, then this is a linear continuous constant parameter system. That means time invariant system, linear time invariant system, where we assume CT system, continuous time system. So, when you have a relation like this, input and x of t through this linear time invariant system, in general, the input and output are related by a differential equation of the following type, like a suffix m d power m times y of t divided by dt to the m plus a suffix m minus 1 d to the m minus 1 y of t, that is m minus 1th derivative of output y of t, plus dot 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 a naught y of t is equal to nth derivative of x of t divided by dt to the n plus b suffix n minus 1 n minus 1th derivative of x of t, okay, plus dot 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 plus b naught times x of t. So, this is a general differential equation that relates the single input and single output constant parameter system, that is linear time invariant system. In such a system, if the input is x of t is of the form e to the st, this we have already discussed, okay, e to the st, then the forced response will be obtained by taking, instead of the d operator, you multiply equivalent of s operator. Okay. So, this is going to be am times s to the m plus am minus 1 s to the m minus 1 plus dot 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 a naught, okay, times y of t is equal to, in the input side, s to the n plus bn minus 1 s to the n minus 1 plus dot 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 b naught. Now, multiply this by x of t. Okay. So, where this x of t is written as this x of t is equal to e to the st, right. Now, what is y of t in this? Y of t is equal to, in the numerator you have s to the n plus bn minus 1 s to the n minus 1 plus dot 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 b naught. The whole thing is multiplied by x of t. What is x of t now? X of t is e to the st. So, on the left hand side, this guy comes to the denominator a to the m s to the m plus a suffix m minus 1 s to the power s m minus 1 plus dot dot plus a naught. And this response, this is called response, right, and this response is called forced response. Forced response, and this whole thing is called h of s. H of s means system function. Okay, we are in particular interested in the system function evaluated when s is equal to j omega. Okay, so that is called h of s evaluate at s equals j omega is h of j omega, and this h of j omega is called frequency response. Frequency response of the system. Sometimes it is also called a system function. System function. You can also call it by system function. So often this h of j omega is called by itself called a system function. So h of j omega, which we will make use of in the Fourier transform applications to systems. Okay, now let us see the implication. Suppose the input is, like we said, x of t is equal to e to the st. Now you substitute s is equal to j omega. That means e to the j omega t. This is your x of t, right? Then the forced response, that is a particular integral. See, whenever you have differential equation, if you solve it, you will get two solutions. One is complementary function, another one is particular integral, and that particular integral is also called a forced response. Forced response or particular integral. Okay, therefore the forced response y forced of t is equal to h of j omega multiplied by e to the j omega t. That means h of j omega times x of t. So the forced response and the input are related by the multiplicative constant, this h of j omega, which is independent of time. This h of j omega is independent of time. That is why I am calling this as constant. It is constant with respect to what? Constant with respect to time. So this is the first implication, and the second implication is a particular case. If the input is a sinusoid, instead of exponential function I have a sinusoid, let's say cos omega naught t or sin omega naught t. Okay, then we will talk in terms of phasors. Okay, so phasors, we have input phasor and output phasors. So the input phasor is denoted by x bar and the output phasor is denoted by y bar. Okay, therefore y bar divided by x bar is equal to your system function h of j omega, whether the voltages or currents as the case may be. Okay, as in the case of electrical networks, in case y is voltage, y bar is voltage and x bar is current, then what is your h of j omega? Voltage by current, that is impedance transfer function. In case y bar by x bar and this numerator is current and the denominator is voltage, then in this case it is admittance. Okay, so under steady state the output is sinusoids and the input is sinusoids, their phasors are related by this h of j omega. Okay, that is your second implications. The third implication is, if you have an input x of t which is an exponential function, x of t is equal to e to the j omega t, then the forced response, this we already discussed, y f of t is equal to h of j omega times x of t, and this property which we are going to make use of in our Fourier transform theorem is this one. Okay, this is a property that we are going to use in our Fourier transform theory, because we are breaking up any given x of t as the infinite summation of this point is very important. Okay, infinite summation of time functions time functions of what type? E to the j omega t. So this is what we really want to make use of. So in a general case, we have x of t. So in the general case, we have x of t. Now x of t is neither exponential nor periodic. Nor periodic. In this case, what will happen? This x of t is related to its Fourier transform by like this, x of j omega. And now what is x of t? X of t is given by Fourier integral. What is a Fourier integral? 1 over 2 pi integral of minus infinity to plus infinity x of j omega e to the plus j omega t and d omega. Okay. So if you have a general input term, here input is general input, neither exponential nor sinusoidal, then it can be thought of as a summation of elementary signal of this type. Okay, of this type, and each with an amplitude like this x of j omega times d omega. Okay, therefore this integration I can write in terms of summation as this d omega running from minus infinity to plus infinity omega. Therefore I make this d omega is very small, right? Therefore limit delta omega goes to 0, then this integration becomes summation, and omega ranges from minus infinity to plus infinity. You have a signal e to the j omega t of this type exponential signal, but what is the coefficient? The coefficient is x of j omega multiplied by delta omega divided by 2 pi, because we are considering angular frequency, so the 2 pi has come here. Now from this you can conclude that if input is e to the j omega t, say this is my input, okay, input is e to the j omega t, then the forced response is h of j omega times e to the j omega t, right? We in the first implication, what did we say? If x of t is equal to e to the j omega t, recall from the first implication, first and third implication, see, if the input is x of t is equal to e to the j omega t, then this forced response y suffix f, this f indicates forced response. This forced response is equal to h of j omega times x of t. What is x of t? E to the j omega t, right? Similarly, if you look at here, the input is of the form e to the j omega t. By the way, this is constant, okay, so don't worry about this guy. This is of the form x e to the j omega t. Now in the left hand side I have x of t. Now this x of t contains many inputs, okay, because omega runs from minus infinity to plus infinity. So I have infinite number of exponentials. So this x of t contains infinite number of exponentials. And each exponential has its corresponding coefficient density, x of j omega times delta omega by 2 pi. Okay, so if this is the input, what is the output? Output is h of j omega times e to the j omega t, right? So e to the j omega t is the input, then the output is h of j omega times e to the j omega t. Now instead of sending only e to the j omega t, you are sending this lot of things. This many things you are giving the input now. So this whole thing is given to the input, and now the output is what? H of j omega times the whole input x of j omega delta omega by 2 pi, then you multiply by h of j omega, then e to the j omega t. If you send e to the j omega t, then output will be like this: a times e to the j omega t, output will be a times h of j omega times e to the j omega t, where a is a constant. Similarly, instead of a, I have this whole lot of function. If this whole lot of function is given to a system, LTI system, the output is the corresponding summation x of j omega delta omega by 2 pi, then multiply by h of j omega and the exponent e to the j omega t. That's what I am trying to say here. Omega, where omega is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, and you take limit term, delta omega goes to 0. Okay, so therefore the input to the system is limit delta omega goes to 0, summation of omega is minus infinity to plus infinity, x of j omega delta omega over 2 pi times e to the j omega t. Now what is the corresponding output? Limit delta omega goes to 0, omega is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, okay, omega is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, x of j omega delta omega by 2 pi, then multiply by h of j omega e to the j omega t. Okay, so this is the response for a wait a minute, where is it? Okay, so one second. So see this summation contains infinite terms, right? Infinite terms. Now let me give only one term. What will happen? X of j omega delta omega by 2 pi, then e to the j omega t, then the output will be x of j omega delta omega by 2 pi, then h of j omega times e to the j omega t. Okay, therefore this is the response of a single term, right? Single term, but what I have here is an infinite terms, a whole lot of terms with a limit term delta omega goes to 0. So since the integral is viewed as the limit of such quantities, so if delta omega goes to 0, then what happens? The summation becomes integration. Okay, therefore in this, from this above one, this 1 by 2 pi is constant. You can pull out of the summation 1 over 2 pi, summation is replaced by integration minus infinity to plus infinity, x of j omega, then h of j omega, this delta omega becomes d omega e to the j omega t and d omega. And now this whole thing x of j omega multiplied by h of j omega, no? So this we will give you a new name called y of j omega. So this is 1 over 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity y of j omega e to the j omega t d omega. Now what is this? This is the inverse Fourier transform of what? Y of j omega. Don't you see that this is precisely the definition of inverse Fourier transform of y of t? Therefore, this is the response of the system y of t. Okay, therefore, y of t can be thought of 1 over 2 pi integral of y of j omega e to the j omega t d omega. So, the conclusion is that the Fourier transform of the output quantity equals the Fourier transform of the input multiplied by the system function. See, this is a Fourier transform of the input multiplied by the system function. So, y of j omega is equal to x of j omega multiplied by h of j omega. So, this is a very important result. That means what? In the frequency domain, in one of the previous lecture we have seen this property. In the frequency domain, it is purely multiplication. If it is multiplication, then what is the corresponding operation in the time domain? It is y of t is equal to x of t convolved with h of t. So, it agrees with the property what we have. The Fourier transform of the output y of t, okay, the Fourier transform of y of t is y of j omega, and this y of j omega will be equal to the Fourier transform of the input, this x of t, if you take Fourier transform x of j omega, multiplied by the Fourier transform of the system impulse response, that is h of j omega. One important point is, we have been talking about the forced response, the particular integral solution. Okay, and we will explain later that this is indeed will be the total solution. This y of j omega will indeed the total solution, because in when I say total solution, it includes the transients also. So, the time being okay, for the time being we assume that this is okay, this is like a total solution. So, I will explain that a little later, later point of time, okay, why it is. So, you can say that the Fourier transform of the output will be equal to the Fourier transform of the input multiplied by the h of j omega. Therefore, h of j omega can be thought of Fourier transform of the output y of j omega divided by Fourier transform of the input x of j omega with the 0 initial conditions. Okay, 0 initial conditions means there is no charge stored in the capacitor or no current flows through the inductor. Okay, so this is another way in which we can find out the response of an LTI system, or h of j omega we can find out in this way for a given excitation or the given input. All you have to do is from the given input find its Fourier transform. Okay, x of t is given to you. From this you find out x of j omega and take the ratio of y of j omega divided by x of j omega, that will give you the h of j omega. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the system function h of j omega. Okay, so determine in whatever manner, okay, you have at your disposal. Multiply these two, h of j omega times x of j omega, that will give you y of j omega. Find out the inverse Fourier transform of y of j omega, that will give you the output response quantity, output of the LTI system. That is how it goes. So, one more property of the system function is, if the input happens to be a delta function, let us say if x of t happens to be a delta function, then a unit impulse, then we know it is x of j omega, which is 1. Therefore, your y of j omega is equal to simply 1 times h of j omega. That means you take the inverse Fourier transform of this, you will get y of t. Then if you take inverse Fourier transform of this, you will get h of t. Therefore, your output is simply the impulse response of the system. Okay. Therefore, that means what? The input to the system is del of t and the output of the system y of t is equal to h of t, right? Therefore, h of t and h of j omega both forms the Fourier transform pair. Okay. So, to put in other words, the impulse response h of t and the system function h of j omega form a Fourier transform pair. Okay. And this relation is indeed a very useful result. System function is the Fourier transform of the impulse response, or impulse response is the inverse Fourier transform of the system function. So, this is a very, very important result. So, see, I have taken an LTI system and the input is del of t. What is your output? Output of the Fourier transform y of j omega is equal to x of j omega times h of j omega. What is x of j omega? 1, and this is my h of j omega. So, both are in the frequency domain. This also in the frequency domain output, and the system function also in the frequency domain, right? If you take inverse Fourier transform, I will get y of t, and here I will get h of t. Why is it h of t? Because when the input is del of t, the corresponding output is called h of t. Therefore, this h of t and this h of j omega both guys form the Fourier transform pair. Okay. So, now this idea ties nicely with our convolution property. Okay. If you recall that from our earlier discussion, I mentioned that the output can be thought of as a convolution of the impulse response, right? So, y of t can be thought of x of t convolved with the impulse response h of t. In the frequency domain, it becomes y of j omega is equal to multiplication. Convolution becomes simply a multiplication. So, that is what we had exactly in the one of the previous lecture. Now, with these basic concepts relating a general systems, let us apply these techniques to an electrical network problem, where we would like to calculate the output for different types of excitation. Okay. So, let us now apply this concept to evaluate the transients in particular network through an example. Okay. So, now what we are really doing is, the given input function can be thought of as a number of elementary sinusoids. There are infinite number of sinusoids. If you look at here, you can see in the summation, this is the exponent, and how many exponential functions are there like this? Infinite number of exponential functions. Okay, these all are elementary sinusoidal functions. This starting from minus infinity and goes up to plus infinity, whatever point of time at which we want to evaluate the response. Now, if a sinusoid is given as an input to a network, the forced response is also a sinusoid, right? That is what we said. If the input is sinusoid cos omega ct, the output also will be cos omega ct, but this omega ct will be changed or altered by certain phase angle phi, and the amplitude will be changed by an amount. Let us say the input is A and the output will be A dash. Therefore, if the input is sinusoid, the output also will be sinusoid with the same frequency. Therefore, we are trying to find out the summation of the forced response to the individual sinusoids. If you have more than one sinusoid, then find out the forced response due to the individual sinusoids. Now, if the system does not have any initial energy to start with, that means we assume that capacitors are uncharged, okay, and inductors do not have any currents, no currents to start with. then all the sinusoidal inputs will give corresponding sinusoidal responses. Okay, and we would like to add them up. That's what we get by finding out y of j omega as x of j omega times h of j omega, where h of j omega is the system function which is obtained under steady state sinusoidal conditions. Now in differential equation we have both the complementary solution and the steady state solution. Now by adding up all the elementary responses, that is we are adding up all the forced responses that we have from these various input functions. Now what about complementary function? Since we are starting our time, the application of these inputs at t equals minus infinity, and if the system has got a natural response which dies out with a time, which has got the natural response poles have negative values for their real parts, that is natural frequencies have negative real parts, then what happens is starting from minus infinity they decay down. Okay, minus infinity it slowly decays as the time goes to 0 value before it reaches t equals 0. It's a time axis, it reaches 0 when we are calculating the response at a finite time, particularly for t equals 0 and beyond this question. So for your natural response exists up to t equals 0, that is t less than 0. So after t equals 0, then your natural response will be 0, and therefore all the natural responses would have died out, and what we are now dealing with is only the forced response. That is why the total response is obtained by adding the forced response. We are not considering the natural response. Okay, now now let me consider an example. Right. So before that, let me point out some more points. Okay, that's it. Okay, let me take one simple example. Application to networks. I have a current source. This current source, let me denote IS of t. This S indicates source, IS of t, in parallel with a 2 ohm resistor, and then I have a capacitor of 1/6 farad, and then one more resistor like this, and this one is I am taking the output V0 of t. Okay, this can be viewed as a system, a block box, and the input is IS of t, and what is the output? Output is V0 of t. Input is current and the output is voltage. So from steady state theory, we would like to find out what is the h of j omega for this. That means what is the ratio of the phasor for V0 to the phasor for IS of t. Okay, so your h of j omega is equal to V0 bar divided by I0 bar phasor. It is pretty simple to find out. Under a sinusoidal steady state, let's say the input is some sinusoidal current sin omega naught like this. Okay, you can work this out and show. This is it's very simple. So please recall from your circuit theory. So this h of j omega in phasor notation is j times 2/3 omega whole divided by j omega plus 2. What you do is this 1/6 omega, like in the transform domain, I'll draw the figure. If you have a capacitor, that capacitor becomes 1 over SC, its impedance SC, and L becomes S times L, and R will be as it is R in the transform domain. Okay, this all quantities will be in the transform domain. Remember this. Okay, so therefore if you draw the same figure, then this becomes 2 as it is, and this is 1 by SC, that means 6 by S, the transform domain, and you have again 1 ohm resistor, and this is 2 ohms. Okay, now you replace S by j omega, so this becomes 6 by j omega. Okay, S is equal to j omega in Fourier transform. Okay, now you want to know how much current flows. The incoming current is I S of t. Okay, and you apply the current division rule. Opposite resistance 2 ohm divided by total resistance 2 plus 1 3 times 6 by j omega. So this much amount of current flows through this branch. So this is 4 by j omega, right? So what is V naught? V naught is equal to 1 times 4 by j omega, then I am sorry, sorry, I did not consider this guy, it's wrong. So the current flow is opposite resistance 2 divided by total resistance 2 plus 6 by j omega plus 1. So this is 2 by 2 plus 1 3 plus 6 by j omega. Now what is the voltage developed? Current times voltage. What is the current? 2 by 3 plus 6 by j omega times the resistance 1 ohm. So this is my V naught of t. Okay, and similarly you can find out I naught. What is I naught? You can find out. Okay, so this is my I naught. So if you solve this whole thing, then your transfer function you will get like this: j times 2 by 3 omega divided by j plus omega by 2. And this is called a system function. Okay, so I think I have written something wrongly. Am I? Yes, it's correct only. V naught by I naught. So now you need to find, see, V naught we got it. Okay, this is 2 by 3 plus j ohm 6 by j omega, that is 2 times j omega whole divided by 6 plus j times 3 omega. That's it, right? Now what is I naught? I naught is see this I, let's say this one is I1 and this one is I naught. Therefore IS of t is equal to I1 plus I naught. Then you can find out what is I naught in terms of IS of t. Okay, and then later on you can take the ratio of V naught by Vi. Okay, is the concept of impedances and admittances. Then you will get this result. So once you have the system function, we can calculate the response to any kind of excitations. This IS of t can be anything. Okay, it can be a del of t, it can be u of t, or whatever it is. Okay, so we assume that the capacitor is initially uncharged. So let us take first case where Is of t is equal to del of t. That means what? Is of j omega is equal to 1. Then V naught of j omega is equal to the transfer function j times 2 by 3 omega divided by j plus omega plus 2 multiplied by 1, right? And this is your V naught of t. Okay, I must find out the inverse Fourier transform, so I must put this in the recognizable form. So this we can write as 2 by 3 real part and imaginary part minus 4 by 3 divided by j omega plus 2. Okay, so this is what we will call partial fraction expansion. We will talk about this in a greater detail when we go to Laplace transform. But you can easily see that this contains 2 by 3 minus 4 by 3 divided by j omega plus 2. Okay, so I try to break this up into two parts, each of which can be recognized to be the Fourier transform of known functions. If you take let's say this is V naught of j omega, then if you take inverse Fourier transform V naught of t, then this is going to be 2 by 3 times del of t. It's a constant, right? Constant is multiplied by del of t minus 4 by 3. This is a plus j omega, so that means e to the minus 2t u of t. Recall your Fourier transform relation, e to the minus at times u of t. It has Fourier transform of 1 by a plus j omega, right? So instead of a, I have e to the minus at. Similarly, this 2 I had minus 2t times u of t. So this is your response of the system, total response of the system when the input is a unit impulse, and this decaying part is called a natural response, complementary solution. In case if the input is u of t, Is of t is equal to u of t, then what is your Is of j omega? Is of j omega is equal to, in Fourier transform, 1 by j omega plus pi times del of omega. So V naught of j omega is equal to h of j omega multiplied by Is of j omega. Okay, so h of j omega we know, that is j times 2 by 3 omega divided by j omega plus 2 multiplied by 1 by j omega plus pi times del of omega. These two are multiplied. Okay, and you can simplify this and show that this will be equivalent to V naught of t is equal to, it's very simple. Okay, multiply term by term, and I mean if you do that, j times 2 by 3 omega divided by j omega times j omega plus 2 plus j times 2 by 3 omega divided by j omega plus 2 times pi into del of omega. Again multiply here, when omega equals 0, the numerator is 0. So therefore this whole term becomes 0. So you will left with this omega and this omega will get cancelled, this j and that j will get cancelled. 2 by 3 times 1 by j omega plus 2. So if you take inverse Fourier transform, then V of t is equal to 2 by 3 times e to the minus 2t u of t. That's it. So that's how you calculate the transient performance of a network using Fourier transform concept. Okay, so under using steady state methods, you can evaluate h of j omega either experimentally or through analytical calculations. Okay, so let me stop at this point. We will continue from this point onwards in the next class. Thank you very much.